Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 5, Episode 3. You get an homage, and you get an homage, and you get an homage. Hey, it is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland, letting the dust settle just a bit on all the recent Trek headlines. So, instead of a hot take or a quick take, you get a second opinion from Dr. Trek. This time, it's episode 50. Hey, look, I have been editing, writing, interviewing, witnessing, commentating, dot connecting, archiving, and fanning Star Trek for a while now. And I just want to say, yes, can you believe it? 50 episodes of Second Opinion. Thank you for being here with me. And yes, can you believe it with this episode? Homages all the way through, starting with the title, which is hardly anything new for Lower Decks, I know. But still, the best exotic nanite hotel takes its hopping place from the best exotic Marigold Hotel, right? 2011 British dramedy film, all-star cast. You should watch it. Except that did not follow the comic exploits of a pretty bunch of flowers, which turns itself into a rampaging 20-sided die. Now, nanites, you may know, go all the way back to the season 3 premiere of TNG, all about Wesley Crusher and Data and Beverly Crusher's return and Michael Pillar's audition script. And none of that has anything to do with this episode either, except, of course, pesky nanites. And I remember that episode. Within a couple of years, you'd hear about nanotech this and nanobots that and nanomedicine and nanotherapy. And I remember the first time I heard about anything nano was on Next Generation. Well, they're back. But then again, this one has another homage. I mean, if you remember your TAS Tribbles, your animated series, right? And how they grew giant instead of multiplying. Well, at that moment in this one, I kind of note scream, they TAS'd the glumpas. Makes me think later on, they should almost call this episode The Trouble with Glumpuses, or The Grief with Glumpuses. Oh, and before I go any further, a little housekeeping here. Last week, for the millions of you who did not write in, I totally forgot to mention the opening space battle now also includes Tholian webbing. And yes, the whale probe was there last season. Kudos. This week's kudos to the writer, Stephanie Amante Ritter. Now, this is her first Lower Decks credit, but she's assigned all year as a producer coming to the show this season after writing 2 episodes and co-producing the single season of Velma and even 1 episode and a year as story editor on the 8th season of live action Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And our director this week is Brandon Williams. You may know that name. He's been a director last season for episodes 3, 6, and 9. Looks like he's doing the same thing this year. This is episode 3. Before that, he was a storyboard artist for episodes 3, 6, and 9 on seasons 2 and 3. And then before that, he had 21 episodes as an artist on Mike McMahon's other series, Solar Opposites. Okay, little things, big things. Little thing? Dixon Hill slot machines? Little thing? The Cosmic Duchess. This is something kind of new, right? It's the size of a moon, but it's got multiple climate zones and theme parks and casinos. I mean, why not? Now, what's interesting is I wondered about the Cosmic Duchess. It turns out in history there was an American Duchess, a river cruise paddle wheeler that was owned by American Cruise Lines. That was a modern vehicle. Until recently, it's about to be sold for scrap. I mean, that may or may not have been the direct homage here. We'll just have to try to flag Stephanie and ask her. Oh, big thing. Krog, the Vibe Tube superstar. Now, first off, the minute that poster sneaked over Mariner's shoulder at the hotel, giving a very intentional, "Oh, don't pay any attention to me. I have absolutely nothing to do with the future plot." Well, I had to look at it, number one, whether it was or not. And number two, I was so laughing because those wacky prop glass tubes, I remember on the box, the instrument played by the guy way back in Picard's Holosuite program, remembering how he ditched Janice Manheim. Way back in season 1 of Next Generation, we'll always have Paris. Not we'll always have Tom Paris. We'll always have Paris, the original. But I mean, once again, here's Lower Decks working down their list of 60 years of Trek weird shit meme micro moments we want an answer to. So now, the weird glass pipes from season 1 Next Gen are vibratubes. But look, at first, I just wanted to see what the name of it was. I didn't know it was going to be the whole freaking MacGuffin of the whole freaking episode, much less getting a throwdown with the lyre, okay, lute, as the most popular Vulcan played instrument, apparently. Oh, big thing. And I even wrote this one down. OMG Gallimites. Yes, this was my squee moment, aka made me pause and go and check. Look, it's another one of those finally show it list items that Lower Decks has hit because, I mean, well, it's not as elegantly bizarre as I'd been hoping to, hearing Jadzia describe the guy she was hot for and dating, Captain Baudet, as a Galamite because he had an exposed brain and yada yada. It was just a verbal tease back on DS9. We never saw him. We never saw any Galamites until this moment. And I heard him mentioned over there, the Galamites. And I was like, really? Okay, it's a little animated shortcutty there. But you know what? I guess maybe it just proves Jadzia got hot for just about any alien type. Even the clunky ones. I know. Idic. Little things. The Yosemite 2 shuttle. You know, it's parked. I mean, the original Yosemite had been left behind, crash landed on that desert world, right? With Mariner and Boimler and the Agimus, the AI subplot, back in, well, where Pleasant Fountains lie, aka the Billups Family Renaissance Fair show. Oh, a little thing, although this may be the biggest little thing ever. It's the return of Paramount Mountain. Oh, but at the end, I wanted to go old school. Da 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 da. You know what I'm talking about. Little things that Pardon Our Nanites banner out in front of the hotel. Did you see Hendy and T'Lyn at their first landing? What, are all the blue shirts wearing proton packs? Okay. Those are supposed to be an homage to those very low-tech, clunky backpacks worn by, what, the janitors in Star Trek 6? Yeah, that's another. We obviously have no science consultant, and so Nick Meyer is just using 1992 for the 23rd century. Oh, little thing. Hover carts, hovercraft. I mean, look, after we had to sit through the achingly old school spectacle of the Argo dune buggy on wheels rolling around in the 2380s, okay, 2002, when we'd had cool flying, no vehicle, no wheelie thing, Star Wars since 1977. Well, I'm just glad to see Lower Decks has signed on to that pledge to never again not use hover tech for its ground vehicles. Unless, it breaks the Prime Directive or is just way, way cheaper. Little things. Boims talks about space whales and mentions what type? The Gormagander? Thank you, Discovery. Or those Galaxy Childs things. Back on TNG, I never thought of Junior and its mom as a whale. We just always called it the giant space dumpling. Didn't you? Little thing, unless you're from Maple Leaf Land, the USS Manitoba. I was thinking, is this the first time we've had a Canadian namesake for a ship or a colony or something major, a planet? Well, there were the river named runabouts on DS9, and there was a USS Yukon, which of course is split between Alaska and the Yukon. And then there was a USS Gander, which is fully Canadian up in Newfoundland. And otherwise, we had the USS Vancouver. And yes, it's the Canadian Vancouver because all the shuttles were named for neighborhoods in Vancouver. Just so you know, it wasn't Vancouver, Washington. Okay, little thing that becomes a big thing. I just loved hearing her say it. Icosahedron. Yes, literally everybody in this whole episode gets attacked by a 20-sided die. What is this, a crossover with Raiders of the Lost Ark? I mean, yeah, talk about your zany and your madcap. I mean, literally, it's a rolling die determining their life. Okay, I do have some questions, starting with our superstar Krog. It's great to see this return to all the Lower Decks original aliens, and being a resort, there are so many obscure Lower Decks folks walking through. I'll let everybody else talk about that. Hearing this debate that's broken out. So Brandon, the director, has talked about at first saying that Krog was a brickar or bricker, you know, the species of Rock Talk over on Prodigy, which actually started in the books. But now we've got Mike McMahon and producer Brad coming out and saying, oh, no, he's not a bricker. He's one of the other rock species. Well, I mean, the moment I saw him, I went back and thought of the Scubbles. You know, they've been seen a few times, but they were named in Who Minds the Mind's Minds. Now that's maybe being debated. We'll have to see about it. I mean, there's a little bit of difference, but they look the same. And to me, it's what? Species diversity. Hey, if I can put up with biker Tellarites, these guys can all be Scubbles. Okay. Favorite lines? You're anathema. What a delivery. What a delivery. Mariner's line arguing with Jennifer. So Mariner. Crawling through ducks is like 99% of most undercover ops. I know. Ask James Bond or any spy that came after him, or anybody having to make do without Jeffrey's tubes. Oh, one more. At the very end, with the tiny little Endeavor captain and her hell duration and Mariner's reaction, a month? Which, of course, if you know Voyager, you know Janeway and the Year of Hell. Okay, one more. It's going to be fun. There's going to be magma. Non sequitur of the year award? I don't know, maybe. There's so many nominees for that. Okay, the cast and the characters for this one. Let's start off with the guest characters. Look, I knew there was something familiar. It was too much of a yeah. Admiral Milius that the boys are going after. I mean, as if we didn't have enough glorious, obvious homage to Apocalypse Now and retrieving someone who's gone upriver, right? They nailed it because this Admiral Milius is named for the screenwriter for the classic 1979 film, John Milius. And Jennifer is back. Now, look, they had no inkling that season 5 would be the last for the series, especially early on here for episode 3. And yet it still feels like a let's wrap this up plot, right? Even though it was just that completely accidental rando naming of Jennifer when Tawny just blurts out when she's ad-libbing in the booth as the character happens to be an Andorian young lady, officer, walking by. And they turned it into this whole plot of the on-again, off-again relationship they have, dating, what have you, candles and all. Until someone realized it had never actually been dropped. So because of that, my headcanon, my backstage headcanon, that whole moment, that whole arc was just an homage to Neelix and Kes and how their whole breakup scene got dropped as a deleted scene. It's infamous now. I mean, we never saw it. So now here's Mariner and Jennifer doing it so much better on camera. In fact, I also got vibes, homage time, of Bashir and Lita having their ceremonial Bajorn breakup on vacation on what was it? Oh yeah, the real Risa. What is this? A resort thing? And Jet Manhaver is back again. With that name. It's a neat character bit, but I'm just wondering, is that the inspiration for Billups's little spy name? Right? Would be spy name. Gilbert Manhandle? In any case, I love how Ransom wants to go with covert names like Zach and Zandy. What does he have a Z fetish or something? But apart from those Ransom bits and Billups, gambling addiction, the senior staff is pretty much left out of this outing, which is why, apart from her captain's log stardate entries, Dawn Lewis has the voice of a Cretacean female at the casino. Fred Tashior, our Shax, is also an alien male acolyte and a Cretacean male number one. And Gillian Vigman, Dr. Ta'ana here, is Tercel. Hey, at least it's a named character. And a human female acolyte. So they're all still getting some work in. Now, Rutherford's major contribution, aside from being Mr. Tech Hero Guy again, is coming up with the name Glumpus. And that's totally enough for me. Hendy got to do some scanning. And that's about it. But, after the last two episodes, I think she's earned a little rest. And even Boimler and Mariner, sure, they had all kinds of moments, the ski moments, the arguing with Jennifer. It's all there. It's all good fun. It's even some emo character development. It all kind of fits into the plot, right? But boy, T'Lyn, who knew she was such a fangirl? Well, now you see once again why she was destined to be a short timer among all those Kholinar heads back on the Cheval. It just makes me wonder what else is in her collection. I mean, really, what else does she nerd out about? Or, okay, as we used to say back in the OG days, before the geeks won, what are her other hobbies and interests? So overall, this was such a great standalone episode. But yeah, it did feel like homage after homage after homage. I mean, and the biggest thing, the longest Boimler scream ever. Now, it was funny, but step back a minute. I swear. I mean, on top of and with the zany die roll of death zigzagging up and down stairs and across streets and swallowing up everybody in its path like a Tasmanian devil. And then we got Boimler's 5-minute plummet in wide angle, long view, landing out of sight behind the bluff with that little dust poof puff at the end. Mwah. Yep. They're really leaning into the Looney Tunes here. I really wanted one last little nanite to pop its head out at the very end and go meep beep. So yes, great standalone show, great character piece, great ensemble with tie-ups, and even so many aliens checked off the list, so many items checked off the list. And yet, one thing, no one's talking about it. It's almost overlooked. We had a completely adjacent quantum universe of the multiverse, nothing new, but tiny? I mean, one little ship tiny? Google it for DS9. Or, if you're another animated series fan, Territon-sized. Yeah, I mean, look, Mike McMahon said that there's a bit of a season arc thread, but nothing as omnipresent as we had the last two seasons. But it's there. I mean, the opener, Dos Cerritos, it had an adjacent multiverse, part of the major plot. I mean, it seems like it's something here. It's not really being revealed and related, but maybe the plot thread is something to do with quantum adjacent universes in general. I guess we have no choice but to keep watching. Oh, one more thing. A box on a force field stick for a trap. Of course. Okay, with that, I am signing off on this second opinion. What about you? What did you think? Hey, here you go. Comment below, would you please? And like and subscribe while you're at it. Ring the bell, do all the things. Please boost our signal. Hey, I dare you to subscribe for some sanity in Star Trek. And if you enjoy Dr. Trek and our Trekland opinion, I invite you to check out all of our live events like Trekland Tuesdays Live, our podcasts like the Trek Files, and yes, more Second Opinion, more Cadet Alice watches Prodigy with Dr. Trek, and our live experiences like, well, Portal 47, of course, every month all over the place, and even our Trekland day tours around LA of Star Trek film sites. Yes, it's all there over at LarryNemecek.com. Would you check it out, please? Thanks. And we'll see you back here next week. Trek well, everybody.